Section F1 reminds you that the closing and recording are the same thing, and the closing takes place on the same day the conveyance documents are recorded with the state. That is also the date the key transfer is normally done. Section F2 shows the closing date. Typically, closing takes place between 30 and 45 days, with 45 days being the most common option in F2. If it is over 45 days, you want to inquire why a longer time period is needed. Section F3 is important and frequently used. Normally A is checked, and this gives the buyer or seller a unilateral right to extend. This is one of the only clauses in the contract that give both parties a unilateral right to extend, which means either party can use this clause without having to have the other party sign off or agree to it. It is critical to understand this because you might think you are closing by a specific date, but if the lender is running late, the buyer can simply use this extension and close later. It can also work for sellers too. Perhaps sellers are late getting the cleaning done or need a few extra days to clear everything out of the house. Sellers can then use this extension to get the extra time needed. Section F4 shows which escrow company the buyer would like to use. Keep in mind there is a law that says the buyer must pick their own title insurance company. This makes sense as you would not pick the buyer's homeowner's insurance or anything else like that. We are okay using all the escrow companies on Oahu. While we do prefer First American, the service at all companies is good, and as the buyer gets to pick their title insurance company, it is not something we normally counter. Section F5 reminds you that everything is prorated by escrow at closing. So you are only paying for tax, interest, etc. for the exact number of days you own the property. Section F6 goes over how the closing costs are split between the buyer and seller. A big point to note is the escrow fees are split 50-50, and the title insurance is split 40% to the buyer, 60% to the seller. Section F7 shows if the property will be the buyer's principal residence. If so, the tax rate is lower. For example, on properties priced under $1 million as of September 2020, the difference is 0.0005 times the purchase price. So if the property is selling for $500,000, the difference in conveyance tax would be $250 more for a non-owner occupant. Section F8 is important if you have a condo that is a special assessment. The buyer might be requesting you pay off all assessments, even ones that you have been paying monthly.